Shadow of the Empire. The mountain air bit at Takeda Hiroshi's exposed skin as he moved through the pre-dawn darkness. The 60-year-old former Special Forces operative turned traditional ninja arts instructor navigated the forest with practiced silence. He had come to these mountains in Hokkaido to reconnect with the ancient ways, leaving behind 2 decades of modern warfare. His students thought him eccentric for insisting they train without technology, but Hiroshi believed that true strength came from mastering oneself, not machines. The stars above shimmered with unusual intensity. Hiroshi paused, sensing something different in their pattern. For 3 nights now, he had observed an unfamiliar light moving against the celestial backdrop. Tonight it had grown brighter. His satellite phone, the one concession to modernity he permitted himself, vibrated in his pocket. Few people had this number. Fewer still would use it before dawn. "Takeda," he answered. "It's Tanaka. Turn on any news channel. The world has changed." Hiroshi returned to his small cabin and powered up the television he kept for monitoring world events. Every channel showed the same images: massive ships in Earth's orbit, gleaming like polished obsidian against the blue of the atmosphere. After decades of speculation, humanity finally had its answer. We were not alone. The Valkyrie Empire had arrived with promises of peace and technological exchange. Their ambassador, a tall humanoid with silver-sheened skin and eyes like liquid mercury, addressed the United Nations with eloquence that seemed impossible from a being who had only recently learned Earth languages. "We come as friends," Ambassador Vexor stated, his voice resonating with warmth. "The galaxy is vast but hospitable only to those who cooperate. We offer our knowledge freely to our new human allies." Something in the ambassador's demeanor troubled Hiroshi. In his years as an operative, he had learned to read micro-expressions across cultures. The Valkyrie ambassador displayed subtle contradictions. Tension around the eyes when speaking of peace, a slight stiffening when mentioning cooperation. Over the following weeks, Hiroshi observed the diplomatic proceedings from afar. The world celebrated as Valkyrie medical technology cured previously terminal diseases. Their environmental restoration techniques began healing damaged ecosystems. Yet Hiroshi's unease grew. He called his former handler at the Japanese Defense Intelligence Agency. "Nakamura-san, I need access to the raw feeds from the Valkyrie diplomatic transmissions." "Impossible, Takeda. Those are restricted to the highest levels." "Then you've already analyzed them." "Found nothing concerning." He paused. "I didn't say that." 2 days later, an encrypted drive arrived at Hiroshi's cabin. The Valkyrie communications appeared straightforward in translation, but Hiroshi noticed peculiar energy spikes in the carrier wave patterns. Embedded signals. He spent 3 days developing a crude algorithm to extract these hidden transmissions. What emerged froze his blood. Psychological assessment of human leadership structures complete. Void stalker teams deployed to primary targets. Begin Phase 1 elimination protocol in 72 hours. Maximum stealth priority. Hiroshi immediately forwarded his findings to Nakamura, then packed essential supplies. His warning came too late. The following evening, the German chancellor collapsed during a televised address. Medical teams found a microscopic puncture at the base of her skull. Similar deaths followed within hours. The Brazilian president, the Australian prime minister, the Chinese premier. No security systems detected intrusions. No cameras captured images of the assassins. World leaders went into hiding, protected by the heaviest security available. It made no difference. They continued to fall. Hiroshi was in Tokyo when he witnessed it firsthand. The Japanese prime minister, surrounded by security in a supposedly secure bunker, suddenly gasped and collapsed. Hiroshi, there as a security consultant, saw what others missed: a slight distortion in the air, like heat shimmer, moving away from the fallen leader. Without hesitation, he pursued the invisible assassin. Modern sensors detected nothing, but Hiroshi wasn't relying on technology. He was using techniques passed down through generations of shinobi. Awareness of subtle changes in air currents, the almost imperceptible sound of movement, the instinctive sense of another presence. The assassin moved with incredible speed, but Hiroshi tracked it through the complex and into the streets of Tokyo. In a narrow alley, he closed in. Using a fire extinguisher, he sprayed the area where he sensed the presence. For a brief moment, a humanoid outline appeared, taller than a human, with elongated limbs and a reflective surface that instantly adapted to clear itself of the white powder. Hiroshi struck with a tanto blade, connecting with something solid. A high-pitched electronic whine filled the air, and the distortion disappeared completely. On the ground lay a small device, damaged but recognizable as technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. He pocketed the device and melted into the crowds as emergency sirens filled the air. Back in his temporary quarters, Hiroshi examined his find. The device appeared to be some sort of advanced camouflage generator, but it was only a fragment. The alien assassin, this void stalker, had escaped. Global communications began breaking down as more leaders fell. The Valkyrie ambassador expressed shock and offered their security forces to protect remaining officials. Many nations accepted in desperation. Hiroshi knew better. He contacted former colleagues around the world, special forces operators, intelligence agents, others who lived in the shadows of modern society. Most dismissed his warnings about invisible alien assassins. Some, however, listened. Nakamura arranged a secret meeting in an abandoned temple in the mountains. Representatives from a dozen nations' covert services gathered, skeptical but desperate. Our technology cannot detect these assassins, Hiroshi explained. Thermal imaging, motion sensors, AI surveillance, all useless against their camouflage. Then what hope do we have? Asked a former CIA operative. Hiroshi placed the damaged alien device on the table. This is advanced technology, yes, but it has limitations. It bends light, masks heat signatures, and dampens sound. But it cannot eliminate subtle effects on the environment. Air displacement, pressure changes, the instinctive sense of presence that humans have evolved over millennia. You're suggesting we fight space aliens with instinct. The American sounded incredulous. I'm suggesting we fight them with ancient wisdom paired with modern knowledge. For centuries, ninja operated using principles of awareness that technology has made us forget. We trained our senses because we had nothing else. Ninja fairy tales won't save world leaders, scoffed a Russian operative. In response, Hiroshi dimmed the lights. Each of you has a playing card in your pocket, placed there as you entered. Without checking, who can tell me what card they have? No one answered. This is what I mean. You rely too heavily on your eyes, on technology. A properly trained warrior would have felt the difference in weight, noticed the subtle change in their garments' hang. Hiroshi moved suddenly, seeming to disappear from where he stood. The group tensed, hands moving to weapons. His voice came from behind them. I am 60 years old. If I can move unseen among the world's elite operatives, imagine what you could do with proper training. Over the next few days, Hiroshi evaluated potential recruits, selecting those with heightened natural awareness. A former Mossad agent who could identify people by their footsteps. A Gurkha soldier who hunted by touch in absolute darkness. A Brazilian capoeirista who claimed to feel disruptions in air currents. As they trained, more world leaders fell. The Valkyrie tightened their grip, offering protection that amounted to control. Earth's military forces found themselves increasingly dependent on alien technology that mysteriously failed when directed against the invaders. In the remote mountain temple, Hiroshi's team mastered techniques to detect the invisible killers. They learned to fight without relying on sight, to trust sensations modern humans had learned to ignore. Their first successful interception came in Singapore. A team member sensed a void stalker approaching a hidden government facility. Instead of using modern weapons, they employed smoke, powder, and physical strikes against the distortions they could barely perceive. The alien assassin fought with terrifying strength and speed, but ultimately fell to coordinated attacks from fighters it couldn't predict. Its camouflage device damaged, the creature became partially visible, a tall, gray-skinned humanoid with enlarged black eyes and retractable bone blades extending from its forearms. With its dying breath, it spoke in accented English. "Others will complete the purge." Hiroshi studied the intact camouflage technology, working with engineers to understand its principles. The revelations were disturbing. The technology wasn't just for assassination, it was reconnaissance for invasion. The diplomatic mission had been a facade. The Valkyrie weren't sharing their technology. They were eliminating resistance before conquest. When the American president was evacuated to a nuclear bunker deep underground, Hiroshi knew the Void Stalkers would follow. It was time to set a trap for the hunters. As reports came in of strange ships landing in remote areas, establishing hidden bases, Hiroshi realized the assassinations were just the first phase. The Valkyrie were preparing for full-scale occupation, eliminating humanity's leadership structure before the masses could be organized against them. The ancient temple became humanity's unlikely command center, coordinating a growing resistance network that operated outside conventional channels the aliens could monitor. Modern soldiers learned from martial artists. Scientists collaborated with spiritual leaders. Humanity was reaching back to its roots to defend its future. Hiroshi stood on the temple steps, watching his improbable army prepare. They had little time. The Valkyrie ground forces would deploy soon, expecting to find a leaderless, disorganized planet. Instead, they would face a humanity that had rediscovered its most fundamental strength, the indomitable will to survive against all odds, guided by wisdom both ancient and new. The final test approached. Intelligence indicated the Void Stalkers' commander was personally leading the mission to eliminate the American president. Hiroshi and his best operatives departed for the underground bunker. The fate of humanity would depend on whether the students of ancient ways could defeat the masters of advanced technology. The silent counter. The presidential bunker, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, represented the pinnacle of human security engineering. Multiple authentication systems, biometric scanners, electromagnetic shields, and a garrison of elite soldiers protected the facility. None of that would stop the Void Stalkers. Hiroshi's team arrived 12 hours before intelligence suggested the alien assassins would strike. The Secret Service initially resisted the presence of this unorthodox group. A Japanese ex-operative, a Nepali mountain fighter, an Israeli tracker, a Brazilian martial artist, and others with unusual skills, but no official credentials. "Your conventional defenses will fail," Hiroshi told the head of the presidential security detail. "The Valkyrie technology renders your sensors useless. We are your only chance." The commander might have dismissed them, but a call from what remained of the Joint Chiefs changed his mind. Reluctantly, he allowed Hiroshi's team to integrate with the bunker's defenses. "Your men will maintain their positions," Hiroshi instructed, "but they must understand, they cannot trust their eyes or their technology. When we give the signal, they must follow our lead without question." The team dispersed throughout the facility, positioning themselves at key junctions. They carried minimal equipment, no complex electronics that might malfunction in the presence of alien technology. Instead, they equipped themselves with pouches of fine powder, chalk dust, and simple mechanical traps designed to reveal the invisible. Hiroshi knelt in a meditation posture outside the main entrance to the presidential quarters, eyes closed, breathing steady. The Secret Service agents watched him with barely concealed skepticism. "How will he know when these aliens arrive?" One whispered. "He says he can feel them," another replied with a smirk. 6 hours passed in tense silence. Then, with no alarms triggered, no alerts from the facility's extensive sensor network, Hiroshi opened his eyes. "They're here," he said quietly. The agents exchanged glances. Their communications remained clear. All systems reported normal operations, and the motion detector showed no unauthorized movement. "All stations," Hiroshi spoke into the simple radio. "Remember your training. Trust what you feel, not what you see." Throughout the bunker, Hiroshi's team began their countermeasures. The Brazilian capoeirista released a cloud of fine chalk dust in a corridor, revealing subtle disturbances. 3 humanoid shapes moving with fluid grace. The Israeli tracker followed footprints invisible to untrained eyes, marking their passage with infrared powder that the aliens' camouflage couldn't fully mask. The Void Stalkers realized they were being tracked. Their movements became faster, more aggressive. One Secret Service agent fell, a precision strike severing his spinal cord, before the Nepali fighter engaged the attacker. Fighting blind, sensing rather than seeing his opponent, he managed to damage the alien's camouflage device with a precisely placed strike. The partially revealed Void Stalker was terrifying to behold, nearly 7 feet tall with elongated limbs and reflective gray skin. Its face featured no nose or ears, just oversized black eyes and a lipless mouth. Bone blades extended from its forearms, glistening with a blue substance. Position 3 compromised, came the Nepalese strained voice over the radio. Target partially visible but still fighting. Throughout the complex, similar confrontations erupted. The aliens moved with incredible speed and precision, but Hiroshi's team had the advantage of preparation and their unprecedented ability to detect the invaders. In the presidential quarters, Hiroshi remained still as chaos erupted around him. The president and his closest advisors had been moved to the innermost chamber. The last line of defense was here. Hiroshi felt the air shift subtly. Without opening his eyes, he spoke. "I know you're there. Your mission has failed." A voice answered, strangely melodic but cold. "Impressive human. Your kind should not be able to detect us." "Your technology is remarkable," Hiroshi replied. "But your fundamental error was assuming it makes you superior. Technology can be corrupted, countered, or broken. The human spirit cannot." A shimmer in the air revealed the Void Stalker commander as it partially deactivated its camouflage. It stood before Hiroshi, taller than the others, with markings on its face that suggested rank or experience. "Your primitive philosophies are irrelevant," it said. "Your species is divided, technologically inferior, and unprepared for galactic realities. The Valkyrie Empire brings order to chaos. You bring subjugation," Hiroshi countered, slowly rising to his feet. "And humans do not subjugate easily." Many have said the same. 43 species now serve the Empire. Yours will be the 44th. The alien moved with blinding speed, its bone blades slicing through the air, where Hiroshi had been a fraction of a second earlier. The old ninja flowed like water, evading by millimeters, his own movements economical and precise. "Your reflexes are unexpected," the commander acknowledged. "We are an unexpected species," Hiroshi replied, launching a counterattack. The fight was unlike any in human history. A master of ancient martial arts against a being of advanced evolution and technology. The Void Stalker's strength and speed were superior, but Hiroshi's lifetime of training gave him an awareness of space and movement the alien couldn't match. Through his earpiece, Hiroshi heard reports from around the facility. His team was holding their own, the alien's advantage of surprise now neutralized. The commander realized its mission was compromised. With startling suddenness, it fully deactivated its camouflage and produced a small device. "If we cannot have this world," it snarled, "we will make it uninhabitable." Hiroshi recognized an explosive, likely powerful enough to collapse the entire facility and trigger the nuclear failsafes. With no time to think, he acted on pure instinct, hurling a concealed blade that pierced the alien's hand, sending the device skittering across the floor. The commander howled, the first sign of emotion it had displayed. Hiroshi pressed his advantage, closing distance, targeting nerve clusters that humanoid physiology suggested might exist. The alien's superior strength meant a prolonged fight would favor it. This needed to end quickly. The Void Stalker commander fought with increasing desperation, its calculated precision giving way to powerful but less controlled strikes. Hiroshi weathered the assault, absorbing impacts he couldn't fully avoid. waiting for the opening he needed. It came when the alien extended too far on a thrust. Hiroshi sidestepped and struck precisely at the base of the alien's skull, the same location the assassins had targeted in their human victims. The Void Stalker froze, then collapsed. Silence fell in the corridor. Hiroshi's breath came in ragged gasps as he retrieved the alien device. The team would need to secure it before it could be accidentally triggered. Throughout the bunker, the remaining Void Stalkers were retreating, their mission a failure. For the first time since their arrival, the Valkyrie had been defeated. In the aftermath, as medical teams treated the wounded and scientists eagerly examined the recovered alien technology, Hiroshi met with the President of the United States. "You've given us hope," the President said simply. "Until now, we've been fighting ghosts." "They are not invincible," Hiroshi replied. "No enemy is. But defeating them will require humanity to change, to remember old wisdom while embracing new knowledge." In the days that followed, Hiroshi's methods spread globally. Training centers were established on every continent, teaching people to hone their natural senses. The recovered alien technology revealed critical weaknesses in Valkyrie systems: their reliance on specific electromagnetic frequencies, their vulnerability to certain sound patterns, their inability to process chaotic data streams. Scientists worked to reverse engineer the camouflage technology, while martial arts masters developed new techniques specifically to counter the Void Stalkers' fighting style. Humanity was adapting, as it always had. The diplomatic facade crumbled. Ambassador Vexor disappeared, the embassy ship departing Earth orbit without communication. Surveillance satellites detected increased activity around the hidden Valkyrie bases established in Earth's remote regions. Humanity prepared for open war. 3 months after the failed assassination attempt, Hiroshi led an unprecedented mission. His team, now expanded to include specialists from 30 nations, infiltrated the primary Valkyrie forward base in the Sahara Desert. Using a combination of reverse-engineered alien technology and traditional stealth techniques, they penetrated defenses designed to repel conventional military forces. Inside, they discovered the true scale of the planned invasion. The base housed thousands of warriors in suspended animation, awaiting deployment. Communication arrays maintained contact with a much larger fleet holding position beyond Mars. The assassination program had been merely preparation, removing leadership before the full conquest began. Hiroshi's team planted modified versions of the aliens' own explosives throughout the facility. As they withdrew, they triggered a cascade failure in the base's power systems. The resulting destruction was visible from orbit, a promise to the watching Valkyrie that humanity would not fall easily. In Geneva, the reformed United Nations convened an emergency session. Representatives from 194 nations unanimously approved the formation of an Earth Defense Force, the first truly global military organization, transcending old nationalisms in the face of external threat. Former enemies now trained together. Knowledge flowed freely between previously secretive agencies. Scientists shared breakthroughs that might have been hoarded for national advantage in earlier times. The Valkyrie had intended to exploit human division, but had instead catalyzed unprecedented unity. 6 months after first contact, Earth launched its first counterattack. Using captured Valkyrie shuttles and weapons, Special Forces teams struck at the alien forward bases simultaneously across the globe. The Valkyrie, accustomed to overwhelming technological superiority, found themselves confronted by humans using their own technology against them, guided by strategies their algorithms couldn't predict. As dawn broke over Mount Fuji, Hiroshi stood in his mountain cabin, watching reports of humanity's first victories against the invaders. An aide entered with new intelligence. The Valkyrie fleet was pulling back, retreating to regroup. "They will return," Hiroshi said quietly, "with greater numbers and new tactics. And we will be ready," the aide replied. The first Earth Defense Force starships enter active service next month, reverse-engineered from Valkyrie technology, but improved by human innovation. Hiroshi nodded. In forcing humanity to fight for its survival, the Valkyrie had awakened something they couldn't have anticipated: the unique human capacity to learn from enemies, to adapt their strengths while avoiding their weaknesses. "We have much to learn about the galaxy," Hiroshi said, "but the galaxy also has much to learn about us." On distant Valkyrie command ships, reports of the failed Earth conquest caused consternation. Species 44, as they classified humans, had defied all predictive models. They weren't merely resisting, they were adapting Valkyrie technology, improving it in ways the Empire's engineers hadn't considered. The Valkyrie Emperor demanded answers. How had primitive humans detected the undetectable Void Stalkers? How had they reversed-engineered advanced technology so quickly? Most concerning, why were some Valkyrie warriors now refusing to face human opponents, speaking of them with something approaching fear? As the Valkyrie debated their next move, Earth prepared. New defense systems incorporated both cutting-edge technology and ancient wisdom. Training academies combine modern military doctrine with traditional martial philosophies. Scientists worked alongside spiritual leaders, each bringing unique perspectives to humanity's greatest challenge. Hiroshi watched a new generation of defenders prepare. Young people who moved like ninjas while wielding star-born weapons. They represented humanity's greatest strength: the ability to honor the past while embracing the future, to learn from tradition while innovating without bound. The Valkyrie had not encountered this combination before. Their previous conquests had faced species that either rejected new knowledge to preserve tradition or abandoned their heritage in pursuit of progress. Humans uniquely did both, creating a resilience the Empire had never confronted. As the first Earth ships prepared for their maiden voyages beyond the solar system, Hiroshi considered the irony. The Valkyrie had come to conquer a divided planet of regional conflicts and nationalist competition. Their aggression had instead unified humanity as nothing in history ever had. The stars no longer represented merely scientific curiosity or theoretical exploration. They were humanity's new frontier and challenge, and humanity had never backed down from either. In the mountains of Japan, Hiroshi resumed training a new class of recruits. They would need both the wisdom of the ancients and the knowledge of the future for what lay ahead. The shadow of the Empire still loomed, but Earth now cast a shadow of its own, one that would soon extend far beyond its native star.